Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 3 of Patriot Princess. I am your host, Liz Fleckenstein Pearson, going through a divorce, not your common shaman. I'm trying not to identify with that name at all anymore, but not your common shaman here with just enlightenment for your healing. Sharing my crazy, divine, all over the place existence to help you heal your trauma, your generational trauma, your past life trauma by finding what works for you if you resonate with my story. So, this is kind of a toughie. I've been putting it off because this episode is about sexual assault, sexual dysfunction, how it's been normalized in our society on purpose to keep us in this separated state where we cannot connect with source because we are holding trauma in our tissue in our bodies that we don't even realize necessarily is there. And so if you're new here and you haven't listened to any of my other episodes or my other podcasts or haven't seen me at all on social media, I've been going through all the ego deaths, the up and downs, like posting and then taking a break and posting and taking a break. But it's all been, breaking through those fear-based the fear-based programming, the programmed agendas that we've been taught since childhood. They don't just go away overnight. It takes time. And I personally am somebody who tries to really rush it. And man, I burned some shit down in the process. Broke some shit in the process, but it's okay. It's okay. It's all a learning experience, and that's why we're here. And I am really focused on finding more joy in life, and that's what we're here for. That's the point, is that we have been manipulated into this existence that puts us in, fear and control, and it's been difficult to break through. But once you do, I'm in that final peeling right now and taking the leap of faith. And, I've said it multiple times because every time I go to take it, it's a challenge. But we're at the point right now where it's sink or swim, baby. And we're swimming this time. We're not just swimming, we're standing. We are walking out of the water and we are taking our seat at the table. We are taking our walk through nature. We are placing our crown on our head. We have anointed ourselves. I say we because it's like my trinity of souls within that are operating, the masculine, the feminine, and the balance. And for me, my trinity, these tattoos that I have on my arm that I got during my spiritual awakening, because tattoos are healing, by the way. And there's no coincidences. Everything's a synchronicity. And your tattoos, where you got them, what they are, when you got them, they all have a deeper meaning that will unfold for you at some point in time. Mine in particular, on my left arm that I got during my early stages of my healing process. And it's, the things the things that bring you joy, the things that lead you to an orgasmic life, the things you said, I always wanted to do this, but I didn't because of something someone else told you to do. And I always said, if I didn't have a corporate job or have to be this put together Southern belle, is kind of the steel magnolia Southern belle, is a lot of the attitude I was raised in, if anybody resonates with that. And, very buttoned up, the very stiff stuck. And I'll tell you what this is. This is generational trauma, ladies. This is trauma in your hips. This is trauma in your womb. This is stiff person syndrome because not being allowed to live a joyful, sensual life. You're not using your body in the way that it was intended to be used. And that isn't necessarily always our fault because we are programmed into a certain behavior, thought pattern, etc. So I always said, if I didn't have this corporate job or have to be all buttoned up, I would get a sleeve. I would have tattoos all over. And so guess what? I got a sleeve, which is not done yet. And I started getting tattoos all over. Ding. That was a bell back there. It's not done yet. We still have a couple things to add to it. And it's going full color as well. But my Trinity at the top, the very first set that I got, it's much more detailed than the rest. And it was just like the synchronicities that were coming through when I was getting them done, the spots that she was hitting, like, we're passing Jonestown Road right now, and talking about like cult stuff is part of this whole religious indoctrination and sexual dysfunction and sexual assault situation that is just rampant in our country. And again, was done on purpose. My Trinity is for women. It's Cinderella. On my arm, my sleeve is Disney princesses, and they're absolutely beautiful. And a phenomenal tattoo artist, Jess at B Inked in Hanover, Pennsylvania. But I have a bone to pick with you, Jess, because we didn't reschedule my last appointment, and that's got to happen. Cinderella is who I had to be in life for other women, helping them get ready for the ball, find their prince, clean up their messes, give them the advice that they needed to, take care of themselves and address whatever was happening in their life, give them support, but really not getting the same back. And always kind of staying with a guy because he's such a nice guy, because the other girls were, give him a chance. He's such a good guy. And there were a few that were like, no, move on. And I didn't listen. But on my arm, she's wearing armor. And actually, multiple people have asked if she was Joan of Arc. And they're like, oh, is that Joan of Arc? And it's funny because I was actually Joan of Arc in a past life. So isn't that fun? That came through for me in ceremony. And it's that having to put your armor on to protect yourself against other women, to stand up for yourself. And it's so unfortunate that we have done that in this society. And I'm bringing this up because it ties into the sexual dysfunction and the sexual assault that we have normalized, because I have multiple experiences, not just myself, but other women that, I'm not talking to them specifically on this podcast or interviewing them at the moment, so I'm not going to share their names. But I'm going to talk about the scenario that occurred and how we as women failed each other in those scenarios. And so really I am, I had an idea of how I wanted this to run, but it really just kind of streams through me. It's, this is more than just me sitting on a podcast talking. This is a divine channel bringing you information to spark change within you, to spark a remembrance within you, to say, where have I experienced these things in my life, and how do I do it differently for my children? Because this is the whole point. We have to heal ourselves to change how we're passing this down to our kids. And that is, that's the main way we're going to make change in this country, is we have to change what we're teaching our children, because they're the next generation that are going to pass whatever we give them down to their children. And hi, I'm a generational curse breaker doing this so that my children don't fucking have to. Oh, I just took a really big sip of mud water with raw honey, and it's delicious. Mushroom coffee for neuroplasticity. Welcome to your first advertisement, unpaid advertisement, unofficial, unpaid advertisement for Mudwater. I applied to be an ambassador and was turned down and told I could join the referral program, which I should do, so I can give you some referrals for Mudwater. But I'm looking kind of, it gets pricey. Now, I will say, compared to like what people spend at Starbucks, which is absolute poison for your body and ruining your gut, it's affordable. It's very affordable. But right now, I'm going through this divorce and am working on a budget and learning more responsibility with money. And I had a little stockpile. I wasn't drinking it as fast as I normally did. Oh, that's delicious. I'm going to take one more big sip. And I'm drinking this in on the way back from a trip to New York. And I travel with it. I bring it with me, and I went into Sheetz, the gas station, and got a hot water for tea and brought in my own mud water, put that in, and my own raw honey and put that in. So, and this also when I stopped in Sheetz, it sparked me because they had their little pamphlet that said, be a real freak with your, Sheetz card or whatever. And that is what has been taken away from us in between the sheets as well. Like, let's talk about what's going in between the sheets in your house, in your relationship, in your marriage, if you're single. And that, again, ties directly into the sexual dysfunction and how we heal it. And my water's good. The honey, it feels good in my throat. I was singing before this. And so, what's going on in between the sheets? I'm going to go backwards a little bit here because I'm bringing this up. Ooh, I just went by 17th Street and exit 44B. 13th Street is my lucky number. 17 is the number of the 144,000. I bring this up because it's part of the healing process that we're really not addressing fully in other areas. And I mean, other people are talking about this stuff too. It's not as hidden as it was before, but people resonate with different things. So I'm going to communicate it in a different way than somebody else will. So I'm sharing what I experienced and what I learned to help you. And what I learned is that I have been covering for the bad behavior of men and women my entire sexual life, including myself. Like, there's things that I've done to other people that I did because I was under the impression that it was okay, and it wasn't. Like, our masculine and feminine energies have been inverted. So we've got women in this masculine role shouldering all these burdens. We've got men in this feminine role not serving in the way that they're really hormonally and structurally built to. Your body is a beautiful machine. It is a resonance. I don't want to say machine. I want to take that back. I mean, yeah, your body is just this beautiful resonance. It's an antenna. It's a frequency. And when we're held in low vibration, it changes our quality of life. And in America, we've been put in this low vibrational state. And I see all these synchronicities around me as as I look around. It's alcohol and football, sports, sitting there focused on stuff that doesn't really make a difference. The water that we're drinking is absolute poison. Our soil is poison because the water is also, the groundwater is poison. The stuff coming out of the air is poison. Our soil is poison. We've fucked with our grains. We've fucked with our dairy and our cows. Like, people in Europe are eating, dairy and cheese and bread every day, and they're okay. But over here, look at what's going on, because it all leads to our gut. And what happens with our gut is our energy flows up through our womb, to our gut, to our heart, to our throat, to our third eye, to our crown. So when you're mucky at the bottom, you're going to be mucky at the top. When you're mucky at the top, you're going to be mucky at the bottom. And what's in the middle is your heart and your ability to love. So when you have problems in the septic, people, in the gut, when your literal shit is weird, When you're off balance in your gut, you're off balance everywhere else. So if you're not eating healthily, if you're not taking care of your body as your temple, as Yeshua came to teach us, this is what it all leads to. He came to teach us our body is a temple and it's our antenna. And he came to teach us ascension. And he was telling us how to do all of this. And, you know, through various incarnations. And you know, the religious authorities and the government killed him for it because then they can't keep us under control. So how do they control us? Jack up your antenna and sexual fucking dysfunction. And I'm going to talk about, again, trigger warning, we're talking about sexual assault, but not in like massive detail. I'm going to talk more in a generalization here. The details will come out in other places. But my own mother is really the source of me being sexually assaulted throughout my life and me succumbing to doing things I didn't want to do because I didn't want to hurt people's feelings, or because I was taught that, oh, give them what they want and they won't go away. You know, they won't leave you. But we're never really taught to like ask for what we want and what we like. And when I tried to in this relationship, I was really just ignored, is what I'm going to say. And this is red flags. If you're in a physical, intimate relationship with somebody that is ignoring what you're telling them that you need in order to feel satisfied and fulfilled, then you're not in the right relationship. And this is where we get into the sexual abuse and the sexual trauma. So when we continue to submit ourselves to those types of interactions, our bodies hold trauma in our tissue. And there is an energetic resonance from each of those encounters. And whatever that resonance is held in our tissue as well. And until you heal it, it's going to stay in your tissue and it's going to block your chakra, whichever chakra is really being affected the most. But if it's, you know, if it's a vaginal interaction, it's going to be in your womb. If it's an oral interaction, you know, you catch my drift here. And I'm not just going to sit here and like complain about all of the sexual dysfunction. We're going to talk about how we heal it too. But mine really started in childhood. I was molested by a cousin of mine. This is where we get into trigger warning. Sorry, folks, if you are a victim of sexual assault or the subject really bothers you and you know you need to take a break, now would be the good time to do it. Or you can listen and step out whenever you think you need to. But again, I'm not going to get super graphic. This is going to be more surface level to just discuss the entire concept of everything that we're experiencing. And I was sexually assaulted by a cousin of mine when I was under the age of 7, close to the age of 7, probably a little bit younger. And this was a cousin. We had family that lived in North Carolina and would go visit for holidays. And most of our family had mobile homes on the property. My great-grandparents owned this piece of land and had tobacco and cotton fields. And when my great-grandparents died, their children each got a part of the land and most of them set up mobile homes on their pieces. My grandmother, this is my grandmother's side of the family, moved up to Maryland after that. My grandmother and her husband moved up to Maryland because they were joining the Union. My grandfather was in the Korean War. And again, the whole wartime, I talked in my other episodes about, really a lot of this comes from the wartime era, having families who had men fighting in war. The PTSD they experience and aren't taught how to deal with afterwards. The injuries, physical pain, ding. I heard there was a bell in the back of the car. The physical injuries that they experience and don't know how to transmute and deal with. And the substance abuse and the energy blockage and the unconditional love blockage that occurs from those things that, our men are conditioned to not feel. And that is so the opposite of what's supposed to be happening. We call them feelings for a reason, people, because we're supposed to feel them. So my cousin used to take me into, and please don't think I'm trying to make light of this. I'm keeping a lighter attitude because I'm not trying to let it pull me into a very dark place. I've worked really hard to transmute this energy and get through talking about it without like crying and breaking down. And I say that because my dad just came through. This is, again, I'm a shamanic energy healer. I am a psychic medium. I am a seer, an oracle, a prophet. Like, it's ridiculous how much is going on in this head. And so I'm kind of like Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost, where spirits come to me, souls come to me to help share their story. And some of them have been jumping in and out lately, and it's been just intense. But my dad just came through. And, again, part of, I'm passing Messiah University. The sexual dysfunction for him, too, was related to Roman Catholicism. And, the things that happen to the altar boys, the things that happen to students at Catholic schools, just the sexual assault that was rampant in the Catholic Church and covered up for so long. And my dad is, coming through with, he was affected by that as well. And that is part of what I'm talking about, is what the Catholic Church also did, to my parents' marriage and the sexual dysfunction that it created there. And, for me, a lot of that in my life was related to the religious indoctrination and dysfunction, specifically driven through the Catholic Church on purpose to put us in a control, shame-based existence, which is exactly what they want you to live in, to stay in a low vibration, to keep them at a pulpit, to keep them sucking your money in, to keep them sucking your energy in, and for entertainment purposes only. Go ahead, sue me, Vatican. You've already done enough. We've already won the war. We're just wading through the battles right now. So, again, I'm not trying to make light of this. I've worked really hard to get through it, and I'm trying to, talk about it in a relatable way. 23 minutes on the timer, that's a good number. And that is an age when a lot of some sexual dysfunction happened for me as well, some trauma that I have to heal. But I was, touched, fondled by a cousin who was not much older than me. And he would take me into one of the mobile homes, one of the trailers. It was like the kids' play trailer, and, to play doctor, etc. And it's like, you knew it was just like lay down. And you knew he was doing something wrong, because he would, if somebody walked by or we heard somebody outside, it was like, sit real quiet, be still. So when there's that kind of behavior involved, there's something off. But I wasn't even 7 yet, and by that time I was already groomed to be a people pleaser by my mother. So, when somebody told me to do something, I listened. And that, I never really told anybody about that. So that was something I was like holding in completely. I've gotten all kinds of synchronicities about something off happening at the daycare that I was in as a child when I was like 4. But honestly, I feel like I've chosen not to tap into that one too much. My hands are tingling right now as I say it. That's still stuck in there a little bit, huh? And then I was sexually assaulted by another male cousin of mine around the age of 11, 12, when we were in middle school. And it was like one of those situations where we were always close growing up. You're kind of in that awkward stage. I wasn't like, I was kind of like in an ugly duckling phase. And we did like some innocent making out, kind of in a way of like, what is this? How does this work? Is this like, well, if I could practice with you, then I'd be comfortable with other people. But I don't know. I guess I kind of took it as like a, man, I don't know. I'm not sure how I took it at first, but then there were like a couple times that happened, and then there was an instance after my uncle's wedding where we were all at my parents' house. Actually, my parents were split by that time, my mom's house, and we were underneath the pull-out couch, right? Underneath the sofa. What's hiding under your sofa? It's hiding under your bed. And we, it, you know, there was like dry humping. Suddenly my pants were off and I'm being like penetrated in the kind of like just the tip sense, but still where I suddenly am just like, what is happening here? What is happening here? And I guess that's how I lost my virginity. Not I guess, it is. And that's something that was really hard to realize going through therapy and trauma release, that oh, my hip is going crazy right now. I actually think I'm gonna pull over for a minute in this diner. My hip is thumping. I'm passing this sign that says 77. One team. We have to heal together, right? We're all on the same team here. We're all part of one. And the whole point to this conversation is people do to you what was done to them. As well. And it, we can't heal it if we don't feel it. We have to be honest. We have to share real life. We have to tell the truth. And so I thought this, kind of sweet experience of losing my virginity in high school to my first boyfriend was really kind of the way that I thought of it, like so nice and innocently. And it really wasn't that. I lost my virginity at 12 to my cousin underneath of my mom's couch. And that's fucked up. And after that, I had my first like female rejection, or my first encounter, like sexual encounter with a female, where it was very innocent. It was this girl that I went to school with, to ballet with. Her parents were going through a divorce. My parents had already been through the divorce, or had already separated. And she was looking for like comfort, closeness, just some like empathy, because again, we grew up with mothers who were in their masculine energy and weren't nurturing. My mom was a raging alcoholic. My dad was the quiet people pleaser who just kind of did whatever, gave her whatever she wanted. And I was comforting my friends. And oh shit, I just smashed a bottle of water. Let's not drive over the glass. I'll move the glass out of the way, but this is We're healing stuff right now. That's good. We're healing stuff right now. We're healing generational trauma. We're healing things that I don't need to carry anymore. And, with some making out, all these glow sticks just fell out of my car. We did some making out, some dry humping, and then she like totally embarrassed me, rejected me, mean girled me in front of all these girls from ballet that we were with all the time. I did ballet growing up, and what a like traumatic experience in a lot of sense, because we're told to be friends with each other and respect each other and build these relationships, but meanwhile we're in this like cutthroat experience where we're constantly competing each other, like against each other, for roles, for attention, for recognition, for just being the best. And you're all in such an awkward age in like elementary school, middle school, high school, that those formative years and like teaching women to just be competition instead of supporting each other, how freaking painful and hurtful it is. And so after, the making out, the dry humping was going on for a little while, and everybody just pretended, we just pretended like nothing was happening. We were at ballet one day, and she had put some some old shoes of her brother's in the, actually, did I talk about this in the last episode? I need to go back and listen to that and refresh my memory. She put some old shoes of her brother's, like sneakers, in the lost and found at ballet, and I took them out and kept them because they weren't in bad shape. And I was made fun of all the time at school when I was younger for my shoes, because my mom made me wear these ridiculous Punky Brewster shoes everywhere. A whole nother story, but just the shaming that came along with that whole situation. I'm changing in this parking lot because I was wearing kind of a tight, wet bathing suit, and I really just want to get cozy as I talk about this, which isn't surprising, right? Costume change into cozy while we talk about trauma. And I'm going to go in this diner and I think sit for a minute while I talk about this. And she shamed me for taking stuff out of the lost and found. And that was, again, one of those things where, my mom putting me in this position of like getting made fun of all the time, and me doing something to try to help remedy it, I end up, in this mean girl situation, and then like being embarrassed and having no friends. And then it created this whole addiction to shoe shopping. Whole addiction to shoe shopping. So much money spent on shoes on me trying to fix my roots, right? Trying to fix the root. Okay, so now I'm actually staging myself. As I get ready to talk about this some more. So, that wasn't a sexual assault situation, but that I talked about it last episode, so you can hear more about it, but it ties into how, like, psychologically I was prepared for the assault, but damaged by this whole, like, female situation. So there's, two young situations for me related to family members. Something funky in daycare when I was younger. Led into, middle school, where I really, like, got made fun of by boys that I had always felt like empathy towards. And like my first crush kind of really called me, like made fun of me for my shoes and like said I wasn't cute and stuff. So that was like really hard. And then as I got into adult life, my ex-husband, soon to be ex-husband, grew up with the one from middle school that said I wasn't pretty. Grew up with my ex-husband. I married that guy from middle school that said I wasn't pretty. And so we did like see him all the time. And my husband was so nice to her. And I'm like, you really have never been, like, you're not that nice to me. You've never really been nice to me. And that's, again, a red flag, ladies. When you have somebody in your life that gives more respect to other women than to you when you're his significant other, you're with the wrong person. And so my first, like, real crush. Ooh, big truck making noise. My first, like, real crush was in middle school to a boy that was a little bit older than me and was just kind of this, like, funky outcast style situation. Okay, I just came in and set up this cute diner, Baker's Diner. It's a little big. It's kind of like a double T, if you're familiar with Maryland at all. Did you hear that that list that came out? Double T has traumatic memories related to men. And the song is on Mommy Don't Want You, Daddy Don't Need You, and Money Can't Buy You Love. So, yeah. So we're in here in this diner. So the kid in middle school was this, like, punky, like, had purple hair, but short, shrimpy kid with a heart condition. And there was just something about him that was very charismatic, and I was, like, totally into it. But he also, like, totally over sexualized everything. I need just a minute, please. Thank you. As I'm talking about this at the table, go ahead and release those fears. This is what I'm on right now. Stand up and be counted. Don't be ashamed to cry. You gotta be bad. You gotta be bold. You gotta be wiser. Okay, sorry, I'm crying to get through this. I let him over-sexualize me to a point where it was like, it was the first boy I left, and I bought velvet underwear because of him. But then, like, it was my first anticipated sexual encounter with a boy where he, like, really just made me feel like, do something. And it's like, I'm like 12. I don't know what to do with a penis. And to make me feel like I'm supposed to be a sex expert at 12, like, what the fuck? What is that? And then, but I was, like, so smitten. And actually, maybe I was 13 by then. 13 or 14. 13. And it just kind of traumatized me a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot. And then progressed further, like, jumped ahead a little bit further into high school after I had other boyfriends and going into college, when he would, like, give me advice on how to, like, seduce my boyfriend. And there was this whole, like, tying him up to a chair scenario that was like must have been a fantasy of his. And then when he got engaged, and then we're in high school, he gets sent to, my mom called it junior prison camp, got sent to this, like, boarding school in Georgia where he had to, like, learn to, like, rough it and live off the land, but they basically turned him into a tiny little Manchurian candidate. And I'm interested in knowing, like, really what happened there, because he was so smart, so intelligent, like one of those, like, the rich kid who was so smart and had, like, too much time on his hands, so he ended up getting in all kinds of trouble. And he went to junior prison camp because I think they called in a bomb threat at a school as, like, a joke. Not funny, obviously. But when he came back, he was a totally different person, and he went through this whole thing where he then decided later on to become an Orthodox Jew and went to a speech sabbatical and wouldn't touch women and wouldn't talk to anybody and got real serious. And then he got engaged to a Jewish girl. I was invited to his engagement party, and he walked around introducing me to people as the girl he would have married if I were Jewish. How fucking awkward do you think that was? I left that party just like, oh my God, what is happening? But also in the state of like, why are you marrying somebody that you don't want to marry just because she's Jewish? And also, no one asked me. I don't want to marry you. This whole situation is very creepy. And, which it is, because obviously, knowing what we know now about Judaism and the links to everything that is happening with the child sacrifice, the torturing of humanity, the poisoning of our food, the worshipping of satanic dark entities that require blood sacrifice, you know, how they're controlling all kinds of stuff. Uh, and that really, just that whole situation, JJ, um, yeah, that formed a lot for me. And then I went into high school and had my first, real relationship. And we were, in love. But that scenario, that whole situation turned into the fall of the divine feminine, the being blamed for men's bad behavior. Like, I cheated on him, and okay. So yeah, I have to apologize for the quality of this recording as well, but talking about the subject, I feel like I had to get into the space that I'm in right now to be comfortable with it. And Dakota here at Baker Signer is a very pleasant server, and borderline when Madonna's on right now. I love the music, helps me like connect with what I'm talking about and healing. Um, but when I got into high school, my first like real serious relationship, and we start like, messing around, then you're in that hormonal. Thank you so much. Hormonal. I just got me some honey for my chamomile and lemon tea. And we're like horny teenagers. What do you expect? Your hormones are going crazy. But I think we were together for a while before we finally had sex, a year and a half or so. And we had all kinds of sexual shaming related to oral sex, all kinds of stuff. That's neither here nor there. This is kind of the sexual assault side, but it there was never really a situation in our relationship where I felt like there was sexual assault. We were both like curiously learning about stuff, and we had a good relationship, but once we got to the end of it, I cheated on him in high school. We should have broken up before college. He went and cheated on me. And when we broke up, it was just bad. We were both like mean to each other. We weren't having a positive encounter. And that's where the trauma comes in, where you're like exchanging sexual energy with somebody that doesn't have the same intention for you in your encounter. And that's where you get the trauma stored in your body. And when we broke up, he was cheating on me, and he totally laid into me and made me out to be the bad guy to everybody, and I defended him to everybody else and kept like pictures of us in my room at college. His sister went to the same college I did, and like came to visit and was like, you have pictures of him? And I'm like, yeah, we'll always care about him, because I have the ability to give people a level of empathy that they just don't have the ability to give me. Like, he wished me barren. Okay. And then we were neighbors for a while. And we all reincarnate. That was funny. Yeah, and he just kind of, I tried to be an adult, like we're neighbors, and I would say hi and stuff, and it just totally put him over the edge. He would just like stare at me, and it's like, okay, you can be mad at me all you want, fine. But the sexual assault and dysfunction comes in when I, with the person I cheated on him with, turned into a like decades long back and forth scenario. And And after the cheating incident, the way that I was treated by my high school sweetheart really turned into that negative energetic exchange. And, college was a whole nother scenario. Once you break up with somebody you've been with for years, who was your like number one sexual partner, and then you go to college and it's like a free for all. I was just like putty in the hands of abusers. And the things that I put up with and were just insane. But the things that men were trained to do to us as well and could get away with, like, it just was so disheartening. So disheartening. And I want to talk about it also from the perspective of Greek life, because I was in a sorority, and just the Greek life situation and scenario, do you hear me stuttering as well? That's the trauma coming out. Um, Promotes the sexual dysfunction 100%. And I used to tell people like how proud I was of going to my college and then I had such a good experience. And it's like, oh, you know what? That's the plastic response. Like, I carried so much from that experience in a negative way and would just paint the plastic smile on it. Oh, I loved it. I wish I would do it over in a heartbeat. Now, it was an absolutely beautiful campus. And I wish I hadn't squandered as much of an experience as I did. Actually, I'm going to take that back because everything happens for a reason. But I was so wrapped up in just the wrong focus. And that's what happens to so many of people's kids going to college. And it's like college is such a waste. In my personal opinion, at that point in time, the way I used it was such a waste. And what are we spending all this money on? We're sending our kids to these places that are just making them ripe for sexual assault, sexual dysfunction, psychological manipulation, turned into, a like a dysfunctional educational system, because everything in America is dysfunctional. Uh, but the way there was a particular fraternity that one of the professors, like all the fraternities and sororities typically had some sort of like advisor professor. And I want to say this particular fraternity had to have one because they were on probation for issues with alcohol. And it got the rampant alcohol and drug use. We're going to talk about cocaine. Cocaine is a hell of a drug, and it is, ooh, ding, just dinged on my cup. I'm supposed to talk about the cocaine. I didn't realize that it was like rampant the way it was when I went to college. I was like, oh, I just thought this was from the 70s. I didn't realize. The decisions that people made while under the influence of cocaine leads you into, it's just the influence of that drug takes you into the left mind, the animal brain, the high buzzing, but then right into unable to ground the decisions you're making. And it got me into my first threesome, I'll tell you that. And my second one. Same people. But stuff I wouldn't have done otherwise. At least I don't think I would have done otherwise. But have always been curious to me after the fact. Um, but the advisor that they had for this fraternity would be out at the bars with us. We were underage with fake IDs in these bars. And this advisor would hit on the girls. I had one friend in particular that would flash people all the time. She got me into doing, like, the things that I did in there are things that I never would have done otherwise. Just out of, not like modesty because I was embarrassed in my body, but because I didn't need to be I didn't necessarily want to be objectified in the way that she was encouraging me to be objectified, or like the crowd was pushing me to do certain things that I was saying no to until somebody finally was like, come on, it's the like girls gone wild mentality where you're just in this environment. And I don't think women should be ashamed of their bare breasts. I think their breasts are beautiful. We were all topless. We were in the Garden of Eden. We're naked and ashamed. Like, we're not supposed to be embarrassed of our bodies. But the way that we have been objectified and sexualized is, I should be able to walk around on a topless beach without guys chanting for me to take my shirt off. Like, that's the difference here, right? That's the difference here. How are we treating the nude body? And he would get girls to flash, and I remember one time he was like licking her nipple in the bar because she had nipple rings. He was at like student parties at their houses getting drunk with underage kids. Like, it was just, I'm pretty sure he was doing cocaine with them too. And it just, like, that's not an upstanding academic establishment. The dysfunction of alcohol and man manipulated substances, drugs, so to speak. Thank you. Yum. Can I have some? I just got this beautiful looking vegetarian or vegetable omelet. Eggs, mushrooms, tomato, onion, spinach, green pepper. Yum. Home fries, which is just potatoes and onions. And I got gluten-free toast. So good. Thank you so much. And a little Tabasco. Dakota's phenomenal. Dakota, very pleasant, has great energy, very attentive. Start a love train. That's what I was on right now. And just this Greek life, promoting, where I was in the Kappa Delta sorority, and literally like our nickname on campus, like all the sororities had different archetypes, if you will, was keg drainers. I joined a sorority that was known for being drinkers. We used to have this annual golf tournament, and I remember like we got to the point where we were asked not to come back again because we had a girl totally like wreck a golf cart and get fucked up, run right into a tree. I got thrown out of a golf cart, turning too fast, tuck and roll, and I popped right up, holding my beer and my cigarette, like, woo, I didn't drop it, woo, shake and bake, not help. Like, the things we were stupidly proud of, oh my gosh. So I bring that instance up too because it's one of those situations where, or one of these memories that comes to me where women and men, imbalance of power. It was like so desperate for love and attention from certain like popular girls that I did the stupidest stuff, like drive drunk, toting them around, happy to be like chosen to do something with them. And then when we got back, I slept with someone I had been sleeping with off and on, who gave me an STD, lied about it, made me think that I did it, but I gave it to him. Until I found out he was sleeping with like 4 other girls at the same time. I talked to 2 of them. One of them he gave the STD to as well. Like, he gave like 3 people chlamydia all at the same time. On the day of that golf tournament, he basically ignored me all day. Well, not all day, but it's like limited interaction. And then I was so happy to like go hang out with them afterwards and like secretly go have sex in the bathroom. And when I tell another girl about it, I found out he's been sleeping with her too, and her roommate. And then made me feel, literally admonished me, why are you talking about this with people? It's our private business. Okay. It's our private business because you're slinging dick all over town and you don't want anybody to know. That's not my fault. My hip is literally like spasming right now. I have an old hip injury related to trying to open up sexually with people that made me feel sexually liberated, turning around and admonishing me for that liberation as well. But this relationship was totally unhealthy. It wasn't really a relationship. I was being used. Drugs were involved. The satisfaction of his fantasies by using us as toys, so to speak. We were the playthings. We were the toys that the bored little boys got to play with. And I was just like, please give me the attention. I'm so happy to have the attention. Sorry if I'm chewing a peppermint for calm. Peppermint, chamomile, eggs, green veggies for the heart chakra, potatoes for the gut, lemon, all these things I'm using right now. 55 on the timer to help me work through talking about this because it's hard. I actually remember when I did this boudoir shoot back in January. You're good. After my major spiritual awakening, I did it with my wedding photographer as like a full circle thing. And a certain song came on. I had a memory of an encounter with him. Oh, we were getting ready to take pictures with this champagne bottle, and the guy's name was Josh. I was holding. She was getting ready to bring it over to me, and when I saw that it was, Josh Seller's champagne, I just I could feel my body go, oh, and it was like, I don't want that in this picture. And then this song came on called "Love Don't Treat You Like That." And as I've mentioned before, I'm on a twin flame journey, and I knew he was telling me that's not love. Get rid of that memory because that's not love. The things that you have accepted and chased as love in the past are not love. And you have to learn what you will demand for yourself and what you want and what you are willing to accept in order to get your full power. And just the things these men got away with. And there were other days. So there was another time he thought I was getting too attached after we initially slept together, and was like, I just want to be friends. And within less than, we shouldn't get serious. It was just, I felt like he was talking to me like I was a little kid. And within 4 hours, the other girl that we're with was like, let's go to the adult store and get vibrators and lingerie. And she was dating his friend. We're like, okay, I'm fine. And then suddenly in the car on the way there, he's all about me again. Hands on the thigh, rubbing me. Maybe we decided things too fast. Oh, what? Because you think I'm sexually liberated, that I'm okay going to the adult store, so now you're into me again? And the first time I'm like, oh, yeah, he likes me again. What the fuck? This is not what we should be teaching our children. He showed me who he was, and I didn't pay attention. And then later that night, this group of guys basically had me and my girlfriend try on the lingerie we got at this adult store, dance around, put music on. She's like, they got the vibrators out, there's just dancing, and this situation where it's well, go dance on the other guy. No, I'm not dancing on anybody else. Later I found out they had cameras. Still don't know where that footage is. Oh well, that was really cute. Oh, so many things just happened right now while I was talking about this. This song came on, Give Me the Night, Taking Back the Night. Take back the night. Talk about what people did to you. and this cop just pulled somebody over at a red light. And I was just talking to the waiter, Dakota, about my honeymoon, and because I got a piece of baklava to go. And I was like, oh, it's funny, I'm talking about the complete dysfunction of Greek life as I get this piece of baklava. And then I was like, ooh, I went there for my honeymoon, and it was like the most unromantic honeymoon, not because of the location, but because my ex was just completely devoid of any like intimacy, thank you, or real connection. And I had my period on our honeymoon. He shamed me for my period since the start of our relationship, which I'm going to get into momentarily. And so we basically didn't have sex on our honeymoon. And I married somebody that didn't really like hold my hand or like snuggle or do anything romantic. So it was just like not the honeymoon I was expecting. And you know what? I felt bad for thinking to myself, oh, don't be ungrateful for this honeymoon. Like, but here I am, Tiana in the swamp, kissing frogs and like, you know, like accepting bare minimum. That's not the honeymoon I wanted. The location was great, except this is what I was just telling Dakota. Again, I'm talking about Greek life, baklava, my honeymoon, and then I remembered I got this horrible rash on my honeymoon in the water at Santorini because I died there at Atlantis. Atlantis was in Santorini in the middle of the caldera there. I was an artist. I died there. I was a sculptor. Drowned in a flood. And my body was reacting when I was there on my honeymoon to the water, to the fact that I died there. And this was a part of me that died in college in this like environment. I was like afraid to be this sexual being again because I felt like I had liberated myself with him and then got punished for it. And that's really like with every sexual encounter. Like I feel like I've liberated myself in some form or fashion and then been admonished for it. And that's where this toxic masculinity comes in. And I will tell you that, so I'm going to back up for a second because this is also tying into some of the threesome stuff. That like you're in these situations where you're using substances. I want to say one of the threesomes happened when I took ecstasy for maybe the second time. Again, another one where you're just doing things you wouldn't normally do. I was made to feel bad by one of the other guys there who was like a brother to me. And I didn't want to have a sexual encounter with him. And he made me feel bad. What's wrong with me? And that has been so many times in my life where turning somebody down and they make you feel bad. Like, well, why do you like him and not me? Because I like him and I don't like you. Like, why do I have to justify myself? But I will say most of the time it's because I kept getting shrimp. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but like, I needed protection. I was a people pleaser. I was a victim of abuse growing up. I wanted some protection. And kept getting these small guys who didn't make me feel safe. Who, in fact, made me feel less than safe. For me to be made to feel bad for that, like not wanting to be intimate with someone just because they weren't my vibe, like, how dare they shame me for that? How dare you be shamed from not being attracted to someone? How messed up is that? And that's ego. And it happened to me so many times through my life, in particular, college. I remember this guy asked me out one time, and he was just a tiny guy. He reminded me of my ex from high school. He was just a little guy. He was a nice guy, but he asked me out. I said yes. And I chickened out at the last minute. Not chickened out. I decided at the last minute I didn't want to go. But I did make up some story about not wanting to go. Because I felt bad being honest. And then I ended up seeing him out later. I told him I was going out after I, finished my whatever paper I was working on or something that I fibbed about because I felt bad being like, you're just not my type. He ended up giving me a ride home from the bars that night. And when he dropped me off, he was like forcing himself on me, kissing me. And like, it's like I kissed him for a second. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. Can you please? And to have somebody continuously force themselves on you, forcing you into kissing them. And when you say no, their answer is like, what's wrong with me? Why not me? You like this guy, you kiss that guy. And it's like, just because I kiss somebody else doesn't mean I'm obligated to kiss you too. Like, that's ego. That's like, it's not because I think you're unattractive. You're just not my type. I'm not attracted to you. I'm allowed to be attracted to who I want to be attracted to, right? So ladies, don't put up with that shit. It's such bullshit. And again, it's like this phase in my life where I really wanted to step into my sensuality, being an adult woman, being allowed to choose my partners, being allowed to choose what was being done with my body. And I had such a warped sense of what I wanted, what was okay, what was comfortable, what was respectful. The trauma held in my tissue from all of those years and the experiences through those years. It really took a lot to get them out. And I know I promised we're going to talk about how to heal it, which is related to orgasms and crystal dildos. I'm going to throw that out there because that's going to be next episode. We're a little over an hour here. We're like halfway into college. And I think we're going to take a break here and do another episode. Thank you, Dakota. I'm finishing up at this diner. I'm going to head to the next spot. We're going to pick up with, I guess, a part 3 of this episode because just a little breather for a second. I just ate. I need to absorb. I'm eating because of emotion. This is making me emotional talking about all this stuff. And we eat when we're feeling emotional. At least I've always been an emotional eater. I've done really well with it lately, but this weekend has been a lot because I've been working through a bunch of emotion. So at least I'm recognizing it, and it's about balance. So we're leaving this diner right now, and then we'll get back on track with thank you with taking care of the clearing it out. I guess the rest of the part we have to clear out about Josh, that side of it, is that even after everything that he did to me, put me through, I still, even after college, checked his Facebook page to see what he was up to. He married our friend's sister, and then I think she cheated on him, and it's his karmic return. They had a kid. She married one of his friends from college. But then he, found Jesus, found a sweet God-fearing wife, which, again, I'm a light worker for Yeshua, so if he truly found Jesus, found his way to happiness and faith, good for him. That it was like, okay, if he really has, found his way, or if he's in this inverted Christianity situation, who knows? Because I didn't check up on him after the fact, but just the level of empathy that I still had for him, and what's up with these people? What's going on with these people? What are they doing now? Like, I thought those people were my friends, that group of guys, and it just totally turns out that they were not. They would have not protected me. I realized, actually, that in a couple of scenarios that I really thought they were people that had my back and they didn't. And I realized that if I had been in a situation where I would have been incapacitated or incoherent in their home, like, they wouldn't have protected me. They would have let somebody sexually assault me and not done a thing about it. And I, still checked up on him, and I hope he's doing well, and what's his life like, and it's just like, what? How insane is that I had this level of empathy to still care about what was going on in his life, if he was happy, and I guarantee you, he never thought a thing about me. Guarantee. But that's what we hold when we don't let go of the trauma. It's like you still think about them, you wonder what's happening with them, you wish the best. I wished the best for him. And then after the fact is like, oh no, I was completely psychologically manipulated, sexually abused by this person. You hear that phlegm coming out? And there's a whole nother layer where he dated girls that I worked with at Hooters in college. Yes, I worked at Hooters in college. There's a whole nother layer of him dating other girls that I worked with, and like my inferiority complex with them and feeling inferior to them because he put them above, like, it just like feeling like a little girl next to a woman, so to speak. And it wasn't so much that I felt like I was a little girl and they were a woman. It's just that hierarchy. And I still have struggled with that, like, up until even the last the last 6 months in my twin flame journey. That's not the subject of this conversation right now, but that is where I have struggled with my own self-worth and comparing myself to other women from my significant other's past. And yeah, and now it's like, no, you have to stop giving credit to people that manipulated you, that treated you like crap, that used you, and then wouldn't have given you the same consideration that you gave them. And that is where this ends now. I don't do that anymore. And I wouldn't want to be with somebody that would want any different from me or do any different. 10:10 on the timer, on the clock when I said that. It's 10:10 right now. 24 minutes to home, 24 miles. So we are going to end this podcast here right now. Ooh, 11317 when I said that. 1, strong number. 13, my lucky number. 17, the number of the 144. We're releasing. So this episode, I'm going to pause right here. We're in college, but not out of it yet. We got more to talk about to get that out, but at least it feels good to talk about this right now. So I'm going to take a few minutes. I'll come back and break it up into another episode. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you in the next one. Episode 3 of Patriot Princess, talking about the rough stuff, talking about sexual assault, sexual dysfunction, and I know it's tough. And if you yourself are somebody that has been a victim of sexual assault, a ton of resources out there, which I will pull together and put in the show notes when I post this, because that is something that's incredibly important for those of us who have been through this trauma, to know that there are people out there that we can reach out to for help. In my marriage, I was not with somebody that offered help, that offered assistance, that offered support. And there are people out there that will do that. And there are services out there where you can reach out, and there are good people that work with them. Not all of them are great, but I have found some decent ones. So that is something that's important to know as well. Okay? So thank you for being here. If you have suffered trauma related to what I've discussed, if you have suffered your own level of trauma, we all have some sort of trauma. Whatever you've been through that you feel like you need to let go of or release, I pray that you find the energy and courage to do so. Please feel free to reach out to me. As I said, I'm an energy healer and going through my own stuff, but your experience is what makes you an expert in a field. And so if you have experienced something that I have and it resonates with you, then hey, let's heal together. So I'm also gonna link my socials in show notes, and I don't know if you can hear it in the earphones, but I'm literally sitting here tapping on my chest right now, opening up. Let's get in there. Right? We're opening that throat, we're opening that chest. This is where our truth comes from. This is where our healing comes from. So, thank you for being here with me and helping me heal tonight. And we'll talk about some more momentarily, but we're going to break it into a second episode because we are well over an hour on this one. All right. Thank you for being here. Love you. Shine your light. Don't give up. Resist. Love, light, and a little go fuck yourself if necessary. Okay. Have a good night.